It's that time of year. Longing has set in. Not for fall. Not for a time when the heat wasn't so oppressive that you would find yourself wishing for a polar vortex. No. This was the time of year that you started checking off days on the calendar, like a child counting down the days until old St. Nick arrived, each day seeming longer than the last. Like the men of the Somme, buried in their trenches, covered in mud, wondering if they would ever see their sweethearts again, there seemed no chance to ever reach our fated day. Between hours in a cubicle, on a red-eye, a vacation where we are supposed to pretend these beach days with the family are the highlight of summer, there was that constant call. A call for a day that we as men longed for, as if there were some metaphysical answer to life waiting for us on the first tee. Ready to breathe in the fresh morning air, prepping our lungs for the disaster about to unfurl, a disaster we had volunteered for under the guise of love for our fellow man, a love that is sure to fade the second a Garrison putt drops in the hole for birdie. This was the longing for the DBI. August 23rd, 2019 will be the start to the 12th year of debaucheries. With beer in our carts and love in our hearts, we will set a course for liver failure. The first battle is set to be fought in the light rough of Ironwood, a course that will surely test our ability to read green through hazy, beer-soaked lenses. McGrath is less nervous than usual, as this course will allow him to spray it around off the tee like a machine gunner in his turret, and yet still have his standard opportunity to make birdie from the adjacent fairway. The Saturday to come will offer a different experience. The higher caps, as they are called due to their inability to hit a golf ball in a hole in fewer strokes than it has taken to end the life of Keith Richards, are also looking forward to this day. They will not have the soreness of bones and muscles, nor the gut rot and blisters that will be sure to have a terrible impact on them in the days to come. Some of these combatants, like Frosina and Ward, will need to fall back to the home front to recover at certain times. We do not judge them for this, but rather celebrate their absence by talking massive amounts of shit behind their backs whilst they're gone, and yet raise a glass upon their return. Pilato has been eating nothing but meat for months in an effort to clear the area between his waist and hands to be able to move a golf club through this now vacant space. He's been successful in this effort, yet the scorecard will most likely tell a different story, one of ineptitude and inability. One that will say, try as you must. Nothing can alter the cruel hand of fate. Demiri, in an effort to slap fate in its bitch face, has spent an ungodly amount of money on clubs, not to improve his game, but to stop him from throwing them, knowing his cheapness will win over the anger at the moment the club is ready to fly. There will most likely have zero effect on him acting like a bitch by the 7th hole, though. In a classic self-defeating paradox, he will look to the cooler to calm the demons in his mind, but the cooler is only filled with that which these demons feed upon. But fear not. Clubs will fly. This we know for sure, as Pollock will be scooting around the course in an effort to firm up his place as top golfer in the field. In between bombs leveled on the rough and trees, bombs that will fall from heights so great they give the impression they were dropped by the old gods themselves, clubs will be thrown at similar distances to the drives of the aforementioned Pilato and Ward. While Demiri, Pollock, McGrath, and Garrison look at each other as equal combatants on the field and will be sure to set their sights on each other, the matches will likely be decided by the less skilled, or as they were once referred to, the pieces of shit, to quote the lovely Deborah Nazca Gillen, the gracious and masochistic host. This middling group is made up of physics professors and art directors, a group of men who will trade in their elbow patch sport coats for a weekend of gallant revelry. Or so they think. Led by a duo of players looking to move from this below-average group to the top tier, you will find Spink and Gagne. Two men whose soft demeanors belie their internal struggle to be better than they were the last time they played, or at the very least, better human beings. While this is unlikely, Spink has been going around making a name for himself with 2 back-to-back rounds in the 80s. While his efforts have raised the eyebrows of a few keen observers, they've done little to instill fear in the hearts of anyone. I'm not starting over at this point. Fuck. Spink has stood alone for many years in this group, but has welcomed Gagne with open arms and an open bed. Theirs is a friendly rivalry, at least to Spink. Gagne has other plans. He is looking to show Spink that he stands alone in this tier, as the cheese so often does. Then we find the duo Fresina and Miller, two who for the lack of history would trade in their clubs for pistols and duel it out like the Founding Fathers. They will play whatever match they are given, but there is only one victory they require, the total annihilation of the other. Neither will succeed in this, though. It is not possible, as they live in completely different universes and do not share the same reality. Standing at the back of this line, we find the younger McGrath and his counterpart, the newcomer Barrick, representing the youth we all long for, and livers still able to function, though their timelines ever diminishing. Unfortunately for them, there are no remote controls on the course. For this reason, beer is not their beverage of choice. Only the hard fire vodka can settle the disgust with their 3-digit number that will inevitably share space with their names on a scorecard. DBI is not for those who love golf. It is not for those who carouse with friends in an effort to enjoy life to the fullest. The DBI is an internal struggle between one's ability to call on health they once took for granted a decade ago that would allow such things as late-night spiritual awakenings or urine eliminated like a running bath, and the new body each finds themselves in today, beaten down by kids, life, wives, time, and mortgages. Gym or not, healthy eating or not, they will be on the same battlefield whose victory can only be defined by one thing: their Venmo accounts. What will the groups look like on each tee? Will Kavanaugh or Borello shock the world and make appearances? Will there be enough people each day to firm up multiple foursomes? Only time will tell, since their response is not. Stay tuned for part 2 of the DBI Podcast, and thanks for joining me. Keep calm and golf on. Godspeed, gentlemen.